the Sufis, of course, celebrate beauty, and Rumi says, a woman is God shining through subtle veils. And Ibn Arabi, one of the great other Sufis, he say, a woman is the highest form of beauty. And there is a whole Sufi tradition of celebrating the divine in the beauty of a woman. And again, sadly, that's another thing that's got lost. And I mean, I could give another whole talk about that. It is like how many mothers teach their daughters how to deal with the projection of the goddess when a young guy falls in love with her. Those secret, or not so secret, feminine understanding that used to be passed down from mother to daughter. In the West, they're encapsulated in the whole tradition of courtly love. It was one of the earliest explorations of that. They have got lost, so women don't teach their daughters the feminine mysteries, probably because they don't know them themselves. So there's the relationship between the divine and the physical got cut. And so that's why, as Yeats said, things fall apart, the center cannot hold. And it's, I think, again, for each of us, it is to reclaim that connection of the divine and the physical. And traditionally, they say a woman is the highest form of physical beauty. And just to respect, not to see the woman as an end in herself, but as a reflection of a divine beauty, just like sexuality and spirituality, or sexuality and the sacred, got divorced in our culture. So sex is just sex, rather than, again, a celebration of the divine. There is actually the moment of orgasm, this moment of bliss, and it is most people's only experience of the soul. If you have mystical experiences, you get taken into this state, and actually it's not just a moment, it can last sometimes for hours, but it shows the deep connection between sexuality and spirituality. And of course there's the whole tradition of Tantra that has used that dynamic of sexuality. Of course it also got misused and misunderstood. But again, it's an example of, long ago, this connection used to be understood, and then it got separated. And I think it's because sexuality is also an earth energy. It has to do with Kundalini, which has to do with the earth energy. And it has to do with each of us in our own way reclaiming it and celebrating it. And maybe at some time in the future we will be given back those teachings. I am more and more aware in the last few years of how much we have lost as a culture, how much has been forgotten. I say it's like the library at Alexandria that was destroyed. So many libraries have been destroyed, and so many deep esoteric teachings have been lost. Like we no longer have the teaching of names. We no longer understand how to name things. We no longer understand the power of naming something, and how that connects you also to creation. It is said in the Quran, and God taught Adam the names, which is the naming of something has to do with its magical connection. And we used to know the names. We used to know the names of creation. And if you know the names, there can be a real communion, a real communication. It's like the birds used to talk to us, and some people can still listen to horses, for example, but most of that teaching has become lost, and most of the esoteric teachings about sexuality have become lost. We don't know them anymore. Maybe we will be given back, they will be given back to us in a new way, but what is important, I think, is for each of us to remake that connection as it comes to us, as life gives it to us. And it could be, to be in love with a beautiful woman and to experience the divine and to experience the sacred feminine and to be taken into the mystery of the feminine. And a man is always invited into that mystery of the feminine. You can't take it and you can't own it. And I say women used to be taught how to take a man into that mystery of the sacred feminine. It's interesting, in the temples, it had to be a completely impersonal relationship. They often weren't even allowed to know the name of the man they initiated. And in fact, traditionally, young men would go there before they got married so that they could get initiated into the mystery of the sacred feminine so they could then be with their wife. But I'm saying there are whole teachings that belong to that have got lost. You can't just reinvent them, and maybe they will get given back to humanity, maybe they won't, but it's for each of us to reclaim that connection with the sacred within creation in our own way. I think this is very important, and for men to respect it, which the patriarchy didn't, and for women to honor it within themselves. And that's a whole other area. And there are many, many different ways it can be honored. But it has to do with the sacred nature of creation. And in Sufism, this is called the secret of the word kun, the whole mystery of the divine being incarnated into matter, which, as a culture, we have lost.